Need your daily fix on mixed martial arts?
We're going to kind of recap Bellator 155.
From UFC 198.
Who's who?
Kind of a controversial decision.
And who's not?
I couldn't figure out why, and then it hit me.
Well, don't you fret, because Golden State Media Concepts got you covered. Get your daily dose of MMA podcasts. Everything from the UFC, Bellator Fighting Championships, Extreme Cage Fighting, Invicta Fighting Championships, and so much more. Join us as we talk about some of the biggest names in mixed martial arts. We've got you covered here on Golden State Media Concepts MMA Podcast.
All right, now. Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Tate. And today, we are here to talk about history. That's right. We're going to be talking about that UFC Fight Night in Kansas City that's going to be on this Saturday. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson is going for his 10th title defense, which would tie him with the greatest of all time, Anderson Silva, for most title defenses in the history of the UFC. He'll be fighting Wilson Reis. And I'm really looking forward to this. This should be a much larger event. But for some reason, unfortunately, Mighty Mouse just does not command the audience, the eyes, the ears as some of the bigger name fighters. But he goes to work every single fight, and he puts on a show every single time. If you're a wrestler, he takes care of you. BJJ, he takes care of you. You're a striker, he takes care of you. You're a knockout artist, he takes care of you. Time after time after time, he's cleaned out the division. You know, what other champion has you said, you know what, let's go get every single champion that's in every other division outside the UFC, all the flyweight champions, we're going to put them in a house, and the best of the best is going to defend the title against Demetrious Johnson, and Demetrious still wins. He's the greatest flyweight champion in history. Arguably could be the greatest of all time. I still give it to Anderson Silva, but who knows how long he's gonna defend this title. Is it gonna be 10? Is it gonna be 11, 12, 15, 20? Mighty Mouse is not slowing down. And unfortunately, it's going to, this should definitely be a big pay-per-view event, but it's not. It's actually, a UFC Fight Night card, just because he just doesn't command the audience. But whether it's on a big pay-per-view event or a fight night card, you're looking at a legend that's going to be fighting tomorrow. And I think, unfortunately, you may not get the eyes, but if you're an MMA fan, this is the guy you want to see. He's a consummate professional. He does everything right. He's clean. And he handles business. He's not a he's not a boring fighter. Now, Wilson Reis is coming in off of a 3-fight winning streak. He's currently the number 3 fighter. He came off a spectacular win on February 11th. He's a solid striker. He's a Brazilian black belt and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So he's going to be a tough competitor, winning 5 out of his last 6 since getting down to that 125 weight class. He's going to be the bigger fighter. This is no foregone conclusion that Mighty Mouse is just going to go in and win. And that's the thing. Everyone should tune in and watch this to see what happens if history is actually made. Because this is one of those fights that, you later on, I think a lot of people are going to realize that, that maybe they missed out on history. But Mighty Mouse, pound for pound, is arguably the best in all of mixed martial arts. Pound for pound, he's one of the greatest of all time. He is the greatest flyweight of all time. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this fight. So, just wanted to give a take on that one. The fight, though, that I think is going to steal the show, though, is you have Michelle Waterson versus Rose Namajunas. And that's the Karate Hottie versus Thug Rose. This fight is the closest pick'em fight I have seen in a long time. These two ladies I think are so evenly matched up. And, you have the toughness of Rose with the well-rounded skills of Michelle Waterson. Both have had huge victories over Paige Van Zandt. The winner of this fight is gonna get Joanna Jędrzejczyk, provided that she wins her next bout. Which right now I am saying she's probably gonna win her next bout. And even if you look at some of the news and see what Joanna is talking about, Joanna talks about how, she's going to take care of business coming up, and then she's looking forward to fighting, Michelle Waterson or Rose Namajunas. So, I mean, even Joanna is looking forward to seeing how this fight's going to go. Michelle Waterson, she's 14-4, 9 submissions. As I mentioned before, she came off of a big win over Paige Van Zandt in December, as she submitted her in the first round. She's coming off she got a 2-fight winning streak. It's her 3rd fight in the UFC. She's a former Invicta Atomweight champion. This woman is someone to pay attention to, because she's the one person in that strawweight division that I think could actually strike with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's that one fighter that has the skills that she can strike, she can wrestle. She's well-rounded, she's seasoned. And then you have Rose. She was set up to be the next contender against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but had a kind of stumbled. She ended up losing to Karolina Kowalkiewicz in July of last year. And as I said before that, she had stopped Paige Van Zandt. But I'll tell you this, Rose is that fighter who she can get rough with you. She can take you to the ground and make it a rough night. She can bang with you. Rose is just well-rounded. Rose still feels, and that's kind of what started a point of contention, where she feels like she has that style that can be the one person that could beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And Joanna kind of took she didn't like that comment, because she was saying, Joanna was pretty much saying, listen, you had your shot, but then you lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, so don't talk about how you have the secret sauce to beat me. And I can understand where she's coming from, but the whole point is never, ever sell Rose short. Rose is just a really, really tough fighter. I'm really looking forward to that fight there as well. And then the next fight that's going to be on this card is Robert Whittaker versus Jacare Souza. Jacare, what do you say about Jacare? First off, you have that log jam in the middleweight division, but you could literally just look around. You have, Gegard Moussafi, with a situation with Chris Weidman. You have Yoel Romero. You have, GSP. And arguably, you could make a case that Jacare is the best of them all. It's a really, really tight division, and there's a log jam here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens this Saturday to see how impressive Jacare will be against Robert Whittaker. I'm definitely taking Jacare in this fight. After this, does this get him in line for that title? He deserves a title shot. He's former Strikeforce champion. The only thing he's missing is that UFC championship. If he wins spectacular, it's going to be either him or Yoel Romero that's going to be facing the winner of GSP, Michael Bisping. So this is a fight that has a lot of, a lot of impact on what's going to happen in that logjam of a division there. You're also going to have Jeremy Stevens, who is going to be fighting on the card. And then I'm definitely always looking forward to seeing Big Country, who will be coming in and will be fighting. Big Country is at age 40, and he's still fighting, and he is still knocking people out. So that's just kind of a quick overtake of that UFC Fight Night card. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Bellator 177 card, and then we have a couple of interviews that I did recently. So we're going to talk about that as well. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and one championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, we're back, and we just kind of quickly went over that UFC Fight Night card, and now we're going to talk a little bit about that Bellator 177 fight card that's going to be on tonight on Fox. The main event is going to be Eduardo Dantas versus Leandro Higo, and this is going to be, it'll be an interesting fight. You have Eduardo, who was 19-4, versus Leonardo, who was 17-2. This was supposed to have been a title match, but Leonardo he ended up missing weight, and so it's now just it's just about no longer going to be a title match. So, you have that card, but the reason why we're going into Bellator, this particular card, is because it's that co-main event card, the one that I'm looking forward to seeing, which has Daniel Volkov versus John Teixeira. And if you haven't seen Teixeira is just a tough, gritty fighter. He's 21 and 1. He's on a 6-fight winning streak. And he has just been, really ripping through the Bellator division. And we actually have him as a guest. He actually called in for an interview, and we actually did an interview with him. And that's what we're going to show next. So here's the interview. I hope you enjoy. Okay, on the line, we have John Teixeira, Bellator featherweight, who has a big fight coming up against Daniel Volkov at Bellator 177, which is going to be tonight. Daniel, a record of 39-9, and he's going to be fighting John Teixeira, who's 21-1. John's been on a 6-fight winning streak and just has been looking quite amazing. John, how are you doing today, my friend?
Bem, foi excelente camp. Finalizei agora, só as partes mais pesadas. Eu tô apenas relaxando, descansando, fazendo treinos técnicos, sem esforço, só corrigindo alguns detalhes aí para no próximo, no dia 14, fazer uma excelente luta contra um adversário e buscar esse resultado positivo aí pro time mais uma vez.
So I'm perfect. I did a great camp. This week I'm just doing techniques. All the hard parts already passed. Keeping my weight pretty well. We are good to go. Just waiting for next week and go there and get what's mine.
Okay, John, you have a big fight coming up here on Bellator 177 against Daniel. What have you seen or what have you watched while watching film on him that has caught your attention or is a concern for you?
Na verdade, ele é um atleta completo, tem um bom jiu-jitsu, tem um bom boxe, um bom muay thai e tem algumas posições ali que ele faz mais forte no chão, que ele finaliza. Mas eu me preparei para tudo, tanto para lutar em cima e embaixo. Sou um finalizador também, sou um nocauteador, e, assim como ele, estou preparado para onde seja que a luta irá se desenvolver. Se for em cima, eu estou preparado. Se for no chão, estou pronto. Tenho certeza aí que ele também deve estar pronto, mas eu vou ter que tirar ele de onde ele estivesse sentindo a vontade, tirar ele do jogo dele e pôr ele no meu.
So normally, when I go to a fight, I specifically train against that guy. But because Daniel, it's a well-rounded fighter, he's good boxing, he's like as a striker, he's good on the ground. So I had to train everything. He has two good positions on the ground. I train jiu-jitsu and wrestling a lot, so I'm fine on that. He likes to knock people out. I do like to knock people out as well. The one thing that I'm going to try to do on that fight against him, I'm not going to let him stay on his comfort zone. I'm always going to be pushing him to take him out from his comfort zone.
Okay, so how do you plan on getting him out of that comfort zone?
Ele, eu tenho certeza que ele vai querer me pressionar no começo ali em cima e impor o jogo dele ali, ficar me agarrando, fazendo aquele jogo enjoado, para talvez até me cansar. Ele acha que vai me cansar, né? Ou fazendo força comigo, ou ele acha que vai conseguir trocar comigo em cima, ou ele pensa que vai me colocar no chão, mas ele está muito enganado, porque eu estou pronto tanto para em cima, para embaixo, e eu tenho certeza que se ele tiver que cair para baixo ou ser pressionado, esse que vai pressionar vai ser eu.
I think he's going to try to pressure me since the beginning of the fight because he thinks this way he's going to make me tired and weak. That's what I'm expecting from him, because he knows that if he tries to strike against me, have heavy hands, if I hit him, he's going to go down. So he might be going towards me for the beginning of the fight, try to make me tired, and I'm ready for that. I can exchange against him. If he tries to take me down, I can go to the ground with him and submit him as I did before.
Okay, so since this is the second time you guys have fought and you've seen each other, what is your game plan, or how do you see this fight working out? Are you going to go for the early knockout? Are you going to try to go for submission? What's your thoughts on how the outcome of this fight's going to go down?
Eu vejo a luta terminando em cima ali, eu vou buscar o nocaute todo o tempo, e se ele, porventura, a luta for pro chão, vou buscar a finalização todo o tempo, e a luta vai terminar assim, com o meu braço levantado e o dele baixo.
He sees the fight ending, him knocking Daniels out, but he said, if he take me down, that I think it's almost impossible. I could submit him easily. So, but I see myself going towards him, putting so much pressure on him, and once that I hit him, he's gonna go down, and my arm's gonna go up.
Okay, so John, with this fight being scheduled in Hungary, where did you spend most of your time for your camp? Did you spend it mostly in Brazil? Did you train in Hungary? Where did you train and prepare for this upcoming fight?
A luta vai ser na Hungria, mas eu fiz o meu camp aqui no Rio, Brasil, como sempre fiz todos.
He did his entire camp here in Nova União in Rio de Janeiro. He's going to be flying on Sunday. That's going to be the first time in Hungary. He didn't do anything there, only in Rio with his team.
A lot of fighters prefer to have their camp in the country or that they're going to be fighting in, or they prefer to get to that country really early. What was your thought process, and what are the benefits for staying in Rio and doing your entire camp there, and then arriving to Hungary in a very relatively short time period? What are the benefits, and what's the thought process behind doing your camp the way you've done it?
Já lutei em diversos lugares e o melhor camp que eu faço é aqui com o meu time, no Rio de Janeiro, na Nova União. Eu acho ideal ir para lá uma semana, fazer a perda de peso lá e no dia seguinte ir logo após lutar, né? E não tem melhor camp que para mim que não seja aqui na Nova União, Rio de Janeiro.
Definitely the best camp. It's always with my team, and my team is in Rio. Hungary doesn't have an altitude, so doesn't change that much. Besides the fact the time difference, it is something that we feel normally. But I felt that when I fight in US, I felt that when I fight in Russia. So the only thing that I'm gonna do in Hungary would be my weight cut. Other than that, all the camp and everything, Brazil, and that's the way that I think with my team that is the best camp that I should be doing.
Okay, John. So if you get the win, this will give you 10 fights in a row without a loss and puts you in a really great place. If you win, what's next for you? Where do you see what's your game plan, and what's your ultimate goal for after this fight?
I deserve the title shot.
Perfect. That's the perfect way to end this interview. I would like to thank you, John, and your trainer Wone for coming on, and we wish you guys the best of luck at your fight against Daniel Volkov, and we will definitely be tuning in. Thanks a lot. See you later. Okay, that was John Teixeira, Bellator featherweight, who has a big fight here for Bellator 177, in which he's coming. He actually has a 6-fight winning streak, but before that he had a draw in there. So it's really, he's coming in 10 straight wins without a loss. And we really like to thank those guys for coming on. When we come back, we have one more interview for another fighter within Bellator, and that would be Raymond Daniels. That's right. Looking forward to talking to Raymond Daniels when we come back. Stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, we're back, and we just finished up an interview with John Teixeira, who has a big MMA match coming up this week. And now we have on the line from Bellator Kickboxing 6, we got Raymond, the real deal Daniels, who has a fight against Gyfori Csaba this Friday, a welterweight battle. Mr. Daniels, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. How about yourself, brother?
I'm doing good. I see you got a big kickboxing fight coming up here on the 14th against Csaba. Are you all set? And are you excited?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited about it. Chance that my last fight was actually in Budapest, so I'm excited about being able to go back to Budapest and being able to go back and see a beautiful city again, and fight in front of all their fans again and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I always got to go in and fight one of the hometown heroes and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I always got to be the bad guy when I'm coming into town. But hopefully, my last time around, I earned me some new fans, and maybe I have a couple people cheering for me.
Well, with the way you've been fighting lately, I'm sure you've been turning a lot of hometown fans into fans of Raymond Daniels here. With you coming off of a 2-fight, you got a 2-fight winning streak. Actually, you have a 3-fight winning streak. 2 of those wins are by KO. Now, for this fight that you have coming up this weekend, talk to me about your camp. Where did you do your camp, and how did it go?
I usually do my training at home. I have my own karate school in the city of Orange called World Champion Karate. So I'm a home trained martial artist. I also train over at Spada Boxing with my sparring coach, or my boxing coach, Ramon Espada. I also train over at Classic Fight Team in Costa Mesa with Tyler Wambos. Also train in West Hollywood at Prevail Boxing with my man Milan. And, so I've definitely stayed around my home front with my training camp, and they've all prepared me properly for this next upcoming fight.
So you train at multiple gyms instead of just one gym. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe I train at a few different gyms. I believe, there's a lot of different places that have multiple things in order to offer you. I have a couple boxing gyms that I train at, and then I have one more Thai gym that I train at, and then my own personal martial arts school, where it's my own background, where I come from. I train there pretty much, I'd say, 70% of the time, and the other 30% are at the other schools.
You know, one of the things I learned about you when I was doing research for this interview is that I learned that your dad was one of your trainers. Is he still one of your trainers now?
No, I don't. My dad was my original instructor when I was a young martial artist, so I have my black belt under my father. I have several other black belts. I have black belts in other systems as well, so I have 3 other black belts, 4 in total. Throughout my years of training and stuff, but he was my original instructor, but he's had nothing to do with any of my professional career fighting.
Okay, then. So your opponent that you have coming up here, his name is Csaba. Did I say that correctly? It's a bit of a tough name.
I don't know. You did a better job than I did. That's the one thing I'm going to actually honestly ask him when I see him. How do you pronounce your name? Like, don't get me wrong, we're already in there fighting and punching each other and kicking each other, and that's our job. But it's like I don't want to be disrespectful when I say your name or when I have to, bring you up to fight you or that I'm going to fight you. You know what I mean? That he has like some symbols or quotations above like his name, and I'm like, I don't know if I don't have that in my alphabet, so I don't know if that makes it sound like a different letter or something. But I believe you said it right, so I'm gonna let you say it, and I'm like, he said that, not me.
Well, okay, so when we were getting ready to have you come on, and we were all super excited about having you come on, we started doing research on your opponent, and we couldn't find much of anything on him. Were you able to watch any film on him? And if so, how much?
Yeah, there was only a little bit of film. I think that's where sometimes people always have an advantage of if they know that they're fighting me, because there's like film from me doing full contact kickboxing, to me doing sport karate, to me doing taekwondo style fighting. So there's all types of videos so they can see kind of what I do, so to speak. But sometimes when I fight other people, there's either limited or whatever the case was. But with him, I did see a little bit of footage and stuff like that. I saw some of his, some of his tool set. Normally for me, I always think whatever type of fighter I have, they got 2 hands and 2 feet like I do, so it doesn't really make a difference. I just like to know which foot he fights with forward, or if he switches. But for the most part, he's got good distance, understands his distance well, throws his twos really good, has some good knees, maintains his space, got good footwork. So I saw some of the things that he does well. I did get a chance to check out the footage. All my coaches checked out footage on him. So all of my preparation work has been, towards this particular fight. So I'm super excited about it.
Okay, talk to me about your game plan. What is it that you do that you think will give you a big advantage over your opponent for this Friday's fight?
I think just honestly, it's kind of like almost me being me, because my particular style, nobody can mimic, so I'm very fortunate to have fighters that fight the style that he fights. But he can never find anybody that'll be able to fight the style of fighting that I fight, that can mimic the speed or the distance that I cover or the angles I attack. So once he gets out there, he's just going to have to try and figure it out, which most people do. And that's why, the last guy I fought in Budapest was a tough guy. We went decision, but the few fights before that, they were knocked out in the first minute of the first round or whatever the case is. And that happens to a majority of my fighters. If you look, a lot of them don't make it past the first round because they're overwhelmed with the style of fighting that I do. They don't understand it. They've never really seen it. So it's one thing to look at, I think, something on a film, but it's a whole other thing to actually have that in front of you and coming at you,
I would agree. Now, one of the things I did in preparation for having you come on was I'd seen a few of your fights, but I went back and I watched a number of your fights. And I can't lie to you, I became a big fan. Speed has been a big part of your game. I think you surprised a lot of fighters at how fast you close distance. Your spinning kicks have been quite impressive. How do you feel that gives you, a big advantage? Because a lot of your fighters aren't prepared for how quick you close that gap between them.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing. One, they've never seen some of the spin kicks that I do. They don't have a training partner that can throw those type of things down. So if you don't understand an angle that something comes or how to defend against it, then, and especially if it's a really powerful technique, you're in for a bad day, so to speak. You know what I mean? And then me being able to close the gap, I find is to my advantage. I've trained a lot more of my pocket fighting and stuff because that's all a person can try to do is to try to pressure me to close the gap. But because I can close the distance, and not only do I close the distance, I attack from different angles. I think throws them for a complete loop because it may look like the same attack sometimes, but there is a different angle that I'm coming at or that I'm attacking at, which it makes it look like a total different attack when it's the same exact attack, but there's with a little twist on it, so to speak.
Okay, so when you look at your, going through and looking at your record and who you fought, which has been absolutely impressive, you have some very big names on your win list. A big win over Page, a big win over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You've had a lot of just some pretty major success. Talk to me about some of your big wins and why you've been so successful.
Yeah, I've had great success with my sport and my style. The fights with Page and with Wonder Boy, they all come from a similar background, so we've had to stand across the line from each other. I'm actually great friends with Mike. Mike and I are a little bit friends and stuff. So Mike is actually he's younger than I am, so he gets a little bit of his style from me. That's where he gets some of his fighting style from. So it's an honor to see Mike going out there and do his thing. So it's like if I was the Michael Jordan, he would be like doing the Kobe kind of, okay, I got a similar style to that. You know what I mean? So it's awesome to see him going out there and doing this thing. And you know what I mean? That's how I kind of look at Mike. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, I see you, Mike, doing your thing. We're good friends. When he comes out here, he hits me up. When I go out there, I hit him up. And But he's a really good dude. I wish him good skill on his fight coming up in London, and I hope all his preparation's going well. And then
all right.
In regards to Thompson, I don't even consider that fight a win. I don't consider that fight a win or anything. We didn't really get a chance to fight. We were kind of filling each other out the first couple seconds, and unfortunately, he ended up blowing his knee out, and we didn't really get to finish that dance. So I don't consider me beating him or anything. That's just one of those fights that I wish I could get back. Just so that's one of the ones I wish I could do again, just to because he's great at that style, and it's kind of like let's see who the true masters of this particular style of fighting. Mike and I have only ever fought in the sports variety side of it. And then, so we've never fought in the full contact side of life. But I would definitely love to fight Thompson again, and should that opportunity ever present itself, I'm pretty sure both of us will be more than happy to take it on.
So, okay, I'm going to give you one more question because I don't want to eat up a lot of your time because I know you have a few more interviews that you have to do. But my question is, if you go through and you're successful this weekend and you win your fight, which will give you continue your winning streak, how do you plan on celebrating, being that you're out of the country and it's going to give you a chance to to really let loose, so it has to be good?
I know, right? All right. Well, I actually got some buddies out there from Hungary, from Budapest and stuff, top part of Team Karate from my sport karate era. So I usually leave it up to them to take me around and show me how they do victory dances out in Hungary and stuff. So my man Zolt out there, his name's Zolt Morales, he'll be taking me out or whatever. Tomas and Ishvan, they'll all be taking me out and show me how to do victory parties in Budapest. So I'm going to leave that up to them.
Excellent. Okay, before we let you go, is there anything that you want us to bring up, or anything that any sponsorships or anything you want to talk about? Anything? It's totally up to you.
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody for continued support. I want to give a shout out to my son, Raymond Daniels Jr. He's away, and I can't talk to him right now. I haven't had a chance to talk to him in about a month or so. It's the longest time I haven't talked to him in his life, pretty much, because he's away at the U.S. Marines in boot camp right now. So I want to give a shout out to all the Marines and all the armed forces that protect us here in the States and stuff. And my son's out there doing his thing, and I'm happy for him, and I'm proud of him. So if he does hear this, just let him know that. Excellent.
I really appreciate you coming on to the GSMC MMA podcast. I will definitely be tuning in, and hopefully our listeners will be tuning in and watching you and rooting you on to victory. Like I said, thank you for coming on, and you have a good night, sir.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.
Okay, that was Raymond, the Real Deal Daniels. And like I said, he's going to be fighting this weekend against Csaba for a kickback in Bellator kickboxing. We really like to thank him for once again for coming on. We also would like to thank John Teixeira for being on and coming in. His fight is also this weekend, Bellator MMA. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. If you have any questions or comments or anything for the show, you can always go to Twitter and send me a message. And with that, enjoy the fights in Bellator and enjoy the UFC Fight Night event. And to all, a good night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts MMA Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcmma.com. GSMCpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.